pretty much all the songs are a combination of like people that I know's stories, and then putting myself in their shoes, and then just taking the dramatic side of me and just being like, what if that was me, and that was, and what if the person died, or what if this, and you just sort of take it to its extreme. Yeah, and you tell a story.
This is Cainan Russell, Gold Coast-based singer-songwriter and friend from high school.
Girl, you're driving me insane. You're going 145 in the fast lane. You got your foot to the floor, don't need no brakes. With the windows down and the sun in your face.
In the early days of YouTubing, he motivated me. Was the first guest to feature in an episode of Walking in Denzel's World. First to be interviewed for my other series, Talent Recognizes Talent. All this took place during his busking days, by the way. And one of the first guests for Talented Peeps, a God-given talent production. And make sure to stick around to the very end of this episode to hear a new original by Cainan. This has never been played before until now. Since I last interviewed you, we've definitely upgraded.
Definitely.
From your house.
Yeah.
With a mic in the middle.
One microphone.
Yeah. To a proper studio with 2 mics.
Yeah.
Two cameras.
I'm very impressed with everything.
I think both of us have progressed in our careers, and which is why I wanted to get you back on for a podcast, because so much has changed since I last interviewed you. And I want you to explain, for those first time listening or watching this podcast, how did you get into music?
I guess it was kind of a shock to me as well, because I never did music in school. Obviously graduated same year, 2016, and then I just started playing guitar, and I've always been a creative person, and my sisters always played guitar, so I sort of got into it just kind of like unintentionally, just started learning the guitar, and then just really loved it, and then I just didn't stop. And I guess when you start something and then you enjoy it, you see, I wonder how far I can take this. And it's like, it was never a thing of like, oh, I want to do this as a full-time job, I want to be gigging full-time or doing weddings full-time or whatever. It just happened where the logical next step after playing the guitar heaps was just to keep playing the guitar, and then, I better start posting my videos. And then after realizing that not everyone thought I was all that crash hot, I was like, maybe I should stop posting my videos and practice more and then post my videos. But then it just, after a year of doing that, quit my job busking, and then it just snowballed from there.
Yeah. So I've always loved your story, because like, you're the biggest inspiration to, I know, for me and to a lot of people really, is because, self-taught, right? You thought, I'm going to do this. Self-taught, started busking, now doing gigs.
Yeah.
I want to know, because obviously when you first got out there and put yourself out there, you're primarily doing not gigs. You're primarily doing busking, and now you've shifted to primarily doing gigs. And I want to know, like, how did you make that shift?
So, like I was saying before, it wasn't something that, like, yes, there was plenty of discussions with people like that I practice with, and with my dad, and with booking agents and stuff, of like actually needing to go out and find gigs, and being like, we need to actually, like, my dad constantly being like, you need to find gigs, like you can't just, you do this, and it's like, you need to go out and actually hand out your business card, go door knocking, like restaurant to restaurant. And I was like, yeah. And for me, I always had this mentality of, well, none of this, I didn't try to do any of this. It just happened. So it just sort of like fell into my lap, so to speak. So obviously there's a fine line between like chasing something and doing everything you can to do it, and setting goals. I think that's important. But I think for me, how it happened was, I just sort of, because I was being faithful in the busking, and I just gave everything to that, then I was given gigs. Like, that's how I see it, because like essentially people just saw me and just contacted me and said, hey, we've seen you busking, you want to play in our restaurant. And it started with an agency that manages a few different restaurants, I believe, that had like 3 different restaurants on the coast that started booking me, and that was enough to have majority of my time gigging rather than busking. And then it just sort of like snowballed from there, and then COVID, and then different story now with a different agency. But that's
And how do you find when you get out on, I want to know, what's the difference between busking and gigging for you? What do you enjoy the most out of both areas?
I think I enjoy busking because it's closer to it's closer to something that like like a famous person, like a famous band would be doing. They'd be performing for a crowd. Busking's closer to that because you're not being paid by anyone to be there. There's no expectations. People stop, and they stop if they are entertained. They stop and they listen, and so that's the aspect that I love, and I almost miss that a lot, and it's almost like I want to do more of that, but now it's like I'm just so doing gigs, it's like I'm craving that, whereas gigs is more like your background music, and at a wedding it's even more so your background music, because you're not there for you're there for the client. You're there, like, people genuinely just do not care about what you're doing, and that's fine, and maybe they do, but they're just busy talking to family members they haven't seen in ages, or at a gig they're there, like at a restaurant gig, they're there to eat their food and drink their beer, and you're there to enhance their experience. So I think with that said, with the difference between them is that you can really get burnt out on gigs because you have to sort of like be humbled and be like, yeah, no one actually wants to listen. And sometimes there are certain gigs, probably like 3 or 4 venues that I play at, where you have a stage and it's more than just background. But yeah, main difference is that.
Yeah, wow. I like, the humbling of a gig.
It is,
That's interesting. I'm curious, like, in terms of if you were to speak to any new musician wanting to put themselves out there and, in a way, chase fame with their music, what would you say to them? Would you say that's best to focus primarily on doing gigs, or to put themselves out there more in busking? Like, what's got the better opportunities?
100% busking. 100%. People do ask me this, and I've people that have seen me at my gigs, probably like 3 or 4 people that I have been able to have the opportunity to give this advice to. I'd say, if you're serious about it, throw yourself into busking. Like,
wow.
I think you need the eagerness and the confidence, and people always talk about being nervous and stuff. Like, I just never felt that. So I guess I was fortunate in that area. I just was like so amped up about just playing in front of people. So it was just super easy for me, but for some people, it's not. But definitely, if you're starting out with gigs and you have no experience performing in front of people, you're not really going to get much for your gigs. And it's probably is more daunting because there's an expectation you're providing a service. Whereas with busking, you could go there and play one song and be like, I can't do this anymore, and go home, and no one cares. Like, it's fine. You're not irritating anyone if you mess up a song, or you're bad, or you're not frustrating a venue like a manager or whatever because you didn't practice a song enough or something. But yeah,
you say that you've given that advice a few times. Like, how often are people asking you for advice?
It happened more when I was busking.
Oh wow.
Because people could just I think when everyone goes to a restaurant and they see a musician, it's almost like you expect it. For those venues that have live music regularly, you expect it. It's nothing crazy, but you when you're on the streets and you see a young person busking, I think it's different, because you see a lot of like experienced musicians busking, but when you see a younger person, it's always, for people, I think, even if the person's good, like I was terrible when I started, and I think the thing was just like, wow, it's a young person putting themselves out there, and I think that's impressive enough. So for me, the people would ask me and approach me more when I was on the street, because they found that more impressive than just being at a venue,
Yeah, that's cool. And look, I've always been inspired by you, and like, it's kind of the reason why I got into the vlogging space and YouTube, because I was like, wow, this guy.
Well, I look at your stuff and I'm like, damn, I got to be more disciplined with my content.
That's where we need to help each other out.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. We
interrupt this program to give you a word from our sponsor, Peeps Accountants. My family's business. We're all about financial solutions for you and your family. And when it comes to running your own business, we'll give you the right advice, set you up for success, and save you some tax along the way, so that you can provide comfortably for your family and, in a way, the families of your employees. So if you're in need of a new accountant, head to www.pamiliaaccountants.com.au. Pamilia spelled P-A-M-I-L-Y-A, or simply click the link in the description to arrange your first free consultation with us. Now, back to the program. I wanted to know, like, because obviously gigs are now coming back post-COVID, and in that COVID season when gigs probably weren't a thing, Were you in that time? Were you busking much then?
There was like, I think there was like phases of the lockdown and
Yeah.
phases of it where it's like it started off, and I think it was pretty like snap, like
Yeah.
just everyone inside, like
Yeah.
no one go anywhere. And I think that's obviously when all the gigs just cancelled, and then we got onto the payments and stuff. So for me, obviously, there wasn't a need to earn money, so I just used the time to just write songs and to
Yeah.
just practice. But I think my confidence went down a lot because of that,
Oh, wow.
because I didn't perform in front of people for ages. But
Yeah. There's a few things I want to ask from that. Like, so obviously, as you just said, you were using that time to write songs.
yeah.
How quickly did you pivot to that of, okay, I'm going to start writing songs?
It took a while. I think because not knowing how long we would be in lockdown, I started thinking like, okay, this is just a little holiday, like a couple weeks, and I actually had my friend, one of my best friends, staying with me at the time because his family, one of his family members was coming back from Japan and could have potentially had COVID, so he didn't want to stay at his place because of the potential that he couldn't work because he was currently working even throughout the lockdown. So he was staying with me. So it was just really cool to just, I guess, hang out, and we used to like just play Xbox and sort of use it as like a holiday, you know?
Yeah.
And then after a while I was like, okay, I can't just like not focus on like my career, even though I'm not doing what I normally did.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was probably like maybe like a month where I was like, okay, I need to start writing, I need to start practicing, I need to keep this tool sharpened, so to speak.
Yeah, that's great. I know that you wrote songs before. I know you had original songs back in like at least 2019. And when you're writing songs, was it a lot of new songs, or did you perfect a lot of those already written songs?
It was all new. I think I struggle perfecting old songs. I think because the first song I wrote was literally the week I started learning guitar. I was just like, because I was just so eager, like I was saying. So I just tried to write a song, and obviously it was more just toying with the idea of like, you know, your brain sort of going, oh, this is cool, I enjoy this, and thinking, wow, it'd be so awesome if this, or it'd be so awesome if this. And then so just learning a song, taking the chords from that song, and then just being like, I know these chords, maybe let's just put them in a different order and write a song. Yeah. So it wouldn't be anything I would ever, I wouldn't even label it so as a song. So basically, you know, levels of writing songs, I would like write a song and it'd be terrible, then write a song, it'd be slightly better, write another song, be slightly better. So it's like, if I was to go back to these songs, the only thing that would ever come from that song that I put into a new song, or like perfecting an old song, would be the concept rather than the actual song itself, because it's like trying to take a terrible foundation of a house and build a tower on it, you know?
Yeah. So what was the inspiration of some of these new songs in that period of time?
I've always struggled with coming up with inspiration for songs, because in hindsight to like other music, I don't know if that's the right phrase, but compared to other musicians and compared to other people you see in the industry, they've lived a lot more and experienced a lot. Like I've been very fortunate to not have like had my heart broken. Like I'm engaged to my first girlfriend. I've never experienced it, so I sort of have to. I've forced myself to like relate to people, and I feel like I've always been good at relating and empathizing with people's problems. Yeah, wow. So pretty much all the songs are a combination of like people that I know's stories, and then putting myself in their shoes, and then just being like taking the dramatic side of me and just being like, what if that was me, and what if the person died, or what if this, and you just sort of take it to its extreme, and you tell a story, and and it's almost like you paint a picture. And like, so if you think about it, like you think of like painters, right? Sometimes they paint a picture that they see in front of them, and other times, you know, I mean, I don't actually know this, but I'm sure there's painters out there that just paint from their imagination. Yeah. And I think that's the difference, is like that's all of my songs are just inspired by other events and potentially thoughts that I feel and think, thoughts that I feel, things that I like think about and being like, oh, that would be terrible if that happened. It's like, let's write a song about that, you know? Yeah.
That's such a unique way of, I've never heard anyone story tell through music like that before. And yeah, I just find that super fascinating about that process.
I think it's freeing because you're not confined to what you've experienced. You can actually say, I want to write a song about this topic. So it's like, let's say if you say, okay, because I don't have obviously a lot of heartbreak experience. I see a lot of it happening around me, and I empathize a lot, and I obviously I don't know how that feels, but I can empathize with it. And it's like, okay, I can craft this picture to be the most relatable to people that hear it. So that therefore it's more, they can listen to it and be like, wow, I'm not alone. And they can, because it's like, I'm not telling my story, I'm telling other people's stories.
And if you need inspiration on a good heartbreak story, just talk to me.
Oh dear. Well, you'll love today's song then.
But now I'm like, can't even think of what next question was going to be. Yeah, look, I wanted to ask you then, with all that in mind, because I feel like the most recent person to do the whole tell their life story and being really famous for it was Olivia Rodrigo. I want to know your thoughts on her. I didn't have this question planned, but because we talked about that, I want to know, what are your thoughts on her then?
I think she's like, I'd never heard of her until Driver's License came out.
Yeah.
I was instantly like, damn, that's a really good song. I was like, I didn't really like know much about her and how old she was, and then hearing that she's 17, and then and then hearing about what actually happened and how she like wrote that from like a real experience, and she's like hardcore throwing people under the bus with the song. But I just thought it was, I thought it was very impressive and a little bit jealous I didn't write that song. But yeah, no,
because that's one extreme of people writing from their real life experiences.
And I think that's hard, because you're not only telling your own experiences, you're also telling other people's experiences, because you're not the only party involved if you're writing a song about a heartbreak. It's like, I would hate if someone wrote a heartbreak song about me. Like, that would be, you would just, especially if it's like Driver's License, where it's on the radio everywhere, and you hear that, you're walking through the shopping center and you hear the song that's about you, you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do?
Yeah.
But, and then when the rest of her album came out, I listened to it, and it's probably like maybe like one or two songs that I was like, but the rest I was like,
yeah,
she's going places.
I must be blind, 'cause I can't seem to see those big red flags staring back at me.
Obviously, when you talked about writing your songs, I know that back late last year, you did 10 weeks and 10 songs, a new original song each week for 10 straight weeks.
Yeah.
And I want to know, how did it feel to release 10 originals?
It felt underwhelming.
Underwhelming.
I didn't release them on iTunes or Spotify.
Yeah.
They were just on SoundCloud exclusively.
And YouTube. There was music videos.
Yeah, and YouTube. And I think, if I did that again, I probably would have either not taken them too seriously or taken them really seriously. So I sort of like had 4 that were like live, that I recorded live, and then I had like the other 6, or maybe 4 that were recorded in the studio, and then 6 that were live. I can't remember. But there was like a handful that were live, a handful that weren't, and then they sort of like had videos. The ones that were live had just live videos, and the ones that weren't had like music videos, which were just me and a friend sort of with not really much experience sort of doing that. So it was more about the experience, and I think there was a handful of people that had been following me for a while that were really excited to actually have some content that's original to listen to in a format that wasn't just like an Instagram video. But it's definitely given me the experience and the confidence to take maybe 4 songs in the future, potentially different, probably different, 100% different songs, take them and do the whole iTunes and Spotify gig, and then sort of have a similar promotional thing. And so it was like a way to test the waters without actually uploading to iTunes and Spotify.
Glad you did it.
Yeah.
That's good, man.
And the radio's playing something loud as I sing along with my head in the clouds. I'll let go of all my doubts, 'cause I'll be holding you when the sun goes down.
The most popular song was When the Sun Goes Down.
Yeah.
And well, like that was the one with most views on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I also think it's the most creative music video with the 4 versions of you.
That one was really fun, but looking back, I was like, oof. People I know will watch that and probably think it's cringy. But
I don't think so.
yeah,
I think it was cool
it was good fun. It was fun.
because it showed a level of effort put into it.
Yeah, well,
It showed like
a friend of mine who edited it would have had to put all the effort in getting all those frames. I don't even know how she did it, but
yeah. Being an editor myself, I feel like I know how she did it, but yeah. But it's cool though that you guys did it. It was just different. It was unique.
Singing down, da da down, and down, down, down. Singing down, da da down, and down, 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 down.
Obviously, that friend. Am I right in saying that friend is Chloe?
yes.
So, can you describe your working relationship to Chloe?
To Chloe.
With Chloe.
Yeah, with Chloe. Yeah. She's we met at an open mic night. The first ever time I played in front of people that wasn't busking.
Wow.
I went to this open mic night and she was hosting it, and this was could have been, I think it was 2017. I want to say 2017. And so I was like not great, but that's I guess that's what open mic nights are for, you know.
Yeah.
They're just for you to like test those waters. And actually going back to that previous thing where you said what advice would you give, is that's obviously busking, but then when you're feeling more confident with busking, go to an open mic night.
Yeah, cool.
You know? But anyway, so we met there, and then she started dating my best mate, which I thought was epic because he came and watched me play, and then obviously she was playing as well, so he obviously was like, after he heard her, he was there for her, not for me. But yeah, so then that was just cool because then we just I started doing my music. She was doing her own music. She was doing gigs, and then, you know, there'd be times where we would all hang out, and then we just started. I actually can't remember exactly how we started deciding to practice together and decided to. We've written a couple songs. She obviously helped me with the filming, and now I'm helping her with recording her songs.
Yeah.
So I did like a production course at the start of this year, so I can like learn how to record and produce my own stuff. So I'm sort of helping her with probably like 6 or 7 of her songs, and then we'll sort of do videos for them as well. Do the same thing we did, but I think she's going to go straight to, like, after the lessons that I learned from the 10, she'll go straight to iTunes and Spotify.
Yeah, epic.
But yeah, we just sort of, I think that the number one thing that's we've both benefited from that relationship is having someone that's holding you accountable. So when you're feeling unproductive with writing songs, or you're feeling as though gigging is becoming dry and sour, or like, you know, there's things that she's better at that I'm not. Like, she's better at Instagram, she's better at photography. She helps me take all my promo photos, and you know, we made wedding websites, and she started making a wedding website and hated it. So then I helped her, and then helped her make the wedding website. So there's just areas that we help each other in.
That's
and
great.
I think no matter what industry you're in, it's always good to have someone like that who has the same vision as you, because you can always meet people that are in the same line of work, but they might have a different goal.
Yeah.
Like, just because you meet another YouTuber, it doesn't mean your visions will align. So I think it's very rare that you find someone that has the exact same, like they literally have the exact same destination, the exact same goal as you.
So epic.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you'd be where you are today if she wasn't in your life?
Definitely not.
Yeah, that's great.
She's been singing way longer than me.
Yeah.
So when I'm not doing, she'll tell me. Like, when I'm not in key or I'm not sounding good, like, she'll be the first to tell me. And then she's struggled with the guitar, even though she's always beats herself up about how bad she is on the guitar. She's great, but she's like, you know, it's just that encouragement and that helping each other out, which, yeah, no, we wouldn't be in the same position.
One of the most recent TikTok videos I saw you post was...
So I'm a self-taught musician and producer, and I'm going to take my friend's song that sounds like this.
You played my heart like it's a game.
And then I'm going to try and turn it into something that sounds a little bit rocky. There's a few other things in there, but altogether this is what it sounds like.
Please let me go. You walked straight into my life, just like you wanted, baby, now.
That was cool. Like,
Yeah.
how often are you guys doing that for each other?
So the TikToks or the actual...
That production of trying to make a song.
Yeah. So that's when I was saying we were doing her stuff.
Yeah.
Her 6 songs. We're pretty much doing that every week, unless like last week we didn't do it because we went to Brisbane and did like a photo shoot for promo photos and stuff. But yeah, ideally we try and do that like once a week where we, I have like a separate room in my house with like soundproofing and it's like a studio.
Nice.
And we made like a little booth, like a
Yeah.
sound booth where we got like panels and hinges and soundproofing and a blanket over the top with the microphone in there and stuff. So yeah, we do that about once a week and just go for gold.
You can't do anything alone. You
Yeah.
always need someone
For sure.
to be beside you. Like, I'm gonna do some bit of a self plug. Like, that's basically the vision of God-given talent. It's
Yeah.
like, you can't dream alone.
Yeah.
You got to do it. Find someone, and I'm glad that you found someone to do it. How often are you guys doing gigs together? Because obviously, in your bio it says one half of Cainan and Chloe.
Yes. So we did have that idea of a duo, and we practice songs together, and I think we sound great together. I think for me, not having enough experience, like because I started performing and singing like so late, and then I went straight into busking. It's like I didn't have any experience singing with someone that like, and then like harmonizing on the fly. Like it would take like a lot of rehearsing to get to a stage where we could be performing regularly as a duo. So we did a couple gigs together and we busked a couple times together, and for me personally, it felt as though I need to get better before I can commit to regularly doing this. And then also venues don't want to pay double the amount of money for an act unless it's exceptional. So when we did play together, I felt as though we weren't offering the best possible package. I thought if she played by herself, she would be better. And if I played by myself, I would be better.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like, I've never not wanted to do that, like to stop it, which is why we still have the page and but I think it's like for me, I'd wanted to help each other out on our solo careers.
It's great.
And then potentially come back to that and then so you essentially have 3 entities that can all that all have different sounds. And then I guess it's like if ever I succeed in music, like she's coming with, like she's my support act. And I can't speak for her, but I don't know, maybe she's the same. I'm pretty sure she is. And then you've got Cainan and Chloe, which if we're doing this and we release songs and we say, look, it's good, but let's combine our fan bases and let's and then like you could bring the Cainan and Chloe and it could explode all, and it could be like Angus and Julia Stone or something. I don't know, like the second Angus and Julia Stone. But that's just, I guess it's good to have those options. And yeah.
So Chloe, if you want to be on the podcast, please let me know, because we need to hear your side of the story.
'Cause I can't live without your touch, no, I just want your love, but there is so much space between us, and I can't get you out of my mind, and everything's on fire when you're not holding on to me, my lady, don't blame me, you're what I need, my lady.
If there was something that you were to directly say to that camera right there, to anyone watching or listening, because it's audio also, is what would you say to them as a word of encouragement? And then you got to directly look at that camera.
Anything.
Anything as a word of encouragement. Maybe it's related to the music or just dreaming or career. And
What I would say, and I'd probably, because this is what that's what I've been saying to myself, is think bigger and don't let go of the thing that you want to achieve. Not in like a sort of coveting, holding on to it way. Don't let go of it in terms of like even though it's all the way over there, know that you're on a path. So just think bigger and don't let go of that. Don't lose sight of it, I guess.
It's great. You heard it here first. This is not the final end of this podcast because you've got one song for us.
Yes.
And what is that song?
I was thinking about which song to play, but I decided I'm going to play a brand new one that I haven't played anywhere else and no one's heard. So it's exclusive.
And you kind of hinted it's got something to do with heartbreak.
Yes.
And that's how I relate to it.
So I can...
Woke up in the middle of the night, caught you creeping through my mind. What do you want from me? 'Cause baby, I really need to sleep. I thought that we'd been over this. That's not fair, you're being selfish. Let's not do this again, because we know how this one ends. I text you first and you may or may not reply. You treat me like shit and I'm left wondering why. You tell me that I should just get over it. 'Cause if you're the spark, then the fire has been lit. I'm always there, not going anywhere, in the palm of your hand. If I could take it back, we would start again. But maybe this time we could just be friends. Text me asking for advice. You're thinking about seeing another guy. Girl, I hate the things you do, but you're too valuable to lose. Maybe it's time that we cut ties. I love you, but I hate your lies. You're everything I need, but loving you is killing me. Text you first and you may or may not reply. You treat me like shit and I'm left wondering why. You tell me that I should just get over it. 'Cause baby, if you're the spark, then the fire has been lit. I'm always there, not going anywhere, in the palm of your hand. If I could take it back, we would start again. But maybe this time we could just be friends. And I'm not strong enough to win you over. So baby, I need you to set me free. 'Cause I had my chance to hold you. You'll always be everything to me. I'm always there, not going anywhere, in the palm of your hand. If I could take it back, we would start again. But maybe this time we could just be friends.
It's called Friends.
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 Yeah, that song relates to me. That was my breakup story. Thank you so much for playing that for me.
That's okay.
I get to be the first person to hear it.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And it's the first time it's recorded too.
First time recording it somewhere, yeah.
I want to know, what was the thought process behind that particular song?
I started off with, like, in a completely different key, but like sort of like a slow like this. Like just really completely different chords, but like just super, just chill. And I was just thinking of like the idea of like, I had the lyrics in my head going, maybe we could go back and start again, but maybe this time we could just be friends. So I just had that line in my head. And I don't know why. I just decided to write a song, and then I was just like, I just started playing those chords, and then I was just like thinking, I was like, generally you just spitball. Like, well, I just spitball and I just come up with random lyrics, and that just popped into my head. I was like, oh, it's kind of a cool concept. And then I guess I pull from, that's when I was saying is like I pull from other people's experiences, and I think to myself, okay, obviously that's like I take the relationship that I'm in now. Before it was a proper relationship, I was friend zoned. So I was thinking, okay, so she gave me a chance, right? And I was thinking, how would I feel if she broke up with me because, I don't know, I wasn't, it just didn't work, and she broke up with me, and then it wasn't like a big, like, crazy breakup, just like a thing of like, look, it's not going to work. Yeah, okay, I understand. But then, like, from the perspective of someone that's like still very, very much values the person and wishes like, I wish we didn't go there, like, because now you've got this friendship, because that's a thing with a lot of friendships that where there's like girls or guys that have friend zoned someone, they value that friendship. Like that's it, they don't not want to date you or not want to date that person because they don't necessarily care for you in that way. Maybe they do, but maybe they just value that friendship so much, and they know that if they probably think, I don't know if it's going to work out. I don't know if we're compatible in that way, so I don't want to risk it, So I guess the thought process is, okay, so the sort of person, which I don't think I am the sort of person that would hang on if a relationship ended. I'm the sort of person where if I can't, like if I was like seeing someone and they said, oh, look, it's not going to work, do you want to be friends? I'd be like, no, see you later. Like I'd be like, I'm sorry, I really, really do care about you, but if it's not this, I don't want it. Like I it'd be too painful. Like, and in the song you hear the things of like, you text me asking for advice. You're thinking about seeing another guy. Girl, I hate the things you do, but you're too valuable to lose. So that's like the concept of like, it's definitely, I don't relate to it. I had to think about people that have that trait where they just sort of become obsessive of a person, or they just love someone so much, and then they don't want to lose the person, but they're saying, if we could take it back and we could start again, like I wouldn't even go there. I just would just be friends this time, like rather than even risk that and have those scars from the relationship.
Yeah. Heartbreak's not great. I'm speaking from experience.
I'd love to,
because you haven't had it.
I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear your
I
story.
find that interesting that a lot of your songs talk about heartbreak and you never experienced, but you sing it so well because you've managed to pull from actual real experience anyway.
I've had people very close to me have a terrible breakup. So I do relate. Like I because this particular relationship that I always sort of draw from has affected me, not as much as the people involved, but it's definitely affected me a lot. So it's like I see the pain, and I think that's where you can write from an unbiased perspective, and you can choose, do I want to be a savage in how I write, like
Olivia Rodrigo?
Yeah, or do I want to be hopeful?
Yeah.
And I think that's a good spot to be in, because you can show what message you want to portray. You can tell a story, and you can really, and that's when an artist is in the position of influence, which I'm not really in the position of influence at all, but if
not yet.
Yeah, when I get to that, it's like you can really like show your fans, you can give them hope in a relationship that isn't hopeful, and you can say things like, you can tell a terrible story, and then you can add something like, but I still love you, or I don't blame you, or this, or whatever. But then you can have a song written about the healing of a toxic relationship, but it's not just like an FU sort of song where it's like, you did this to me, screw you, and that's the song. Because there's a lot of that out there. Like Olivia Rodrigo does a lot of that, and I don't think that's me. And so, yeah, I guess it's you have more freedom.
It's a great song, and your voice is very much matured.
Thanks. Yeah.
And that's
it's risky. Singing in that higher sort of falsetto is always been something I've been afraid of.
Yeah.
I just have to I analyze other artists' voices, and I'm like, why can they do that so confidently? And then I just said to myself one day, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to pick songs. I'm going to change my gig set list. I'm going to pick songs that do that falsetto voice and that head voice, and I'm just going to sing it. I don't care how bad it sounds. I'm not going to pull away from the microphone. I'm going to sing into the microphone with confidence. And then I feel bad for the people that heard me those first few times those first few months. But it's just like small steps in that direction, and then it influences your writing. Like now I literally all the songs I've been writing have had that style of singing in it, and I'm like, well, I really hope it sounds good to people, because now all of these new songs have that in it. So
yeah, it sounds good to me. So
thanks,
have some confidence in that. So yeah, again, thanks so much for being part of this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
One last time, plug your socials.
Cainan Russell, at Cainan Russell on everything. So Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, just at CAINANRUSSELL.
There you have it, my interview with Cainan Russell. If you enjoyed it, head on over to the YouTube video and leave a comment quoting your favorite moment. We'd love to hear from you. This has been an episode of Talented Peeps, a God-Given Talent production, and thank you for tuning in.